Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wise Kracks. Jon Orlando missing in action again this week. I read some of your comments last week. We're at the beginning. We're kind of talking over each other a lot. We're going to be in a studio eventually. There, John's got a deal where he's going to be in the Venetian, which is going to be really cool. And the studio is done in December, so we look forward to that. But Randy McKay and I are going to do the whole show today.
Doing real
Hey,
well.
Randy, how you doing? All right?
Enjoying some nice autumn wind, autumn weather here in Colorado.
We're not having none of that here, buddy. It's 103 every day. We're about 15 degrees above normal all week long in the hundreds. It hasn't been below until Friday, but next week we're going to go back into the high of the 90s and in the late 80s. So back to being normal. Oh, but Randy, I have to tell you, I was really upset, and some people actually were, under anonymity, of course, but maybe some more wouldn't be too. There's reasons why, but I was really upset about Pete Rose dying, and I'll tell you, only some famous people that have affected me. Music's my getaway, and especially in the winter after basketball's over, and January, February, into March Madness, I enjoy listening to music. And Eddie Van Halen, when he died, that bothered me at a young age. He died like 64, 65. And that bothered me. But Pete Rose bothered me. And let me tell you why. I've met Pete 4 or 5 times. I met him I met him in Atlantic City at Caesars, in the horse room there. That was 25 years ago, which, right, by the way, wasn't too friendly there. But I understand people were all around him, and it's tough, when you have everyone. He's in the middle of betting his horses, and he wasn't unfriendly, but he just wasn't as friendly as he could have been, I felt. So it really didn't have a bad or good opinion. Baseball on the field, great opinion. But then I met him in the sports book at Mandalay Bay. He was very nice. I met him over at Caesars at the mall there. There was some kind of a store they were selling. He was selling, I don't know if it was called Field of Dreams. I think it was called Field of Dreams. I'm not positive, though. Yeah, so he was in there, and I had my buddy from Myrtle Beach, my buddy Frankie, a money guy. All the guys I've been around, by the way. This guy really is the guy that really showed me about having no value of money. I wish I didn't even meet him, because the reason why I spend the money I spend in life now, and I can't keep any money because I have to spend every penny. I'm a maniac. But I have a good time, though. But it was because of this guy. Imagine this guy from the South. But good guy. Well, he went in there. What do you think he tells Pete Rose? He sits down there. He sees Pete. He's like, Pete, it's my son, me. I have to know. You're my hero, man. What's the number one amount of money you've ever made sitting in this booth for the day from one client? And Pete was honest. Instead of lying and saying 5,000, Pete's like, well, I had to give me 1,500 last time I was here. My autographs are 300. I had a guy give me 1,500 for a couple things. He goes, well, here's 2,000. He handed Pete $2,000, and Pete was smiling and said, I'll sign anything you got. $2,000 cash, bring it on. So Pete signed a whole bunch of things, took a whole bunch of pictures. He was very friendly that day, too. I got to meet him. He was really nice. But the best time, Randy, last June, I'm in Black Bear Diner on Tropicana and Jones. And Pete Rose at the next table. A different buddy of mine recognized him. I wasn't even looking. So that's Pete Rose right there. I said, wow, look at that. Pete Rose right next to us. Pete Rose with his grandson and his son. And of course I would never bother him. But I filmed the action show on Showtime with one of his good friends, Cookie Jar. He's the lounge singer. He's 83, I think now, Cookie is. And when Pete was finished with his breakfast, I had to say, Pete, I just called Cookie Jar. I know you guys are friends. He goes, friends? I love Cookie Jar. Get him on the phone. So got Cookie back on the phone. Pete takes it was just so cool. And after we hung up, Cookie told him, you were a big gambler there. He's a good sports bettor. So Pete was asking me questions about sports betting. We went on and on. I took some great photos. I put one of them on Twitter yesterday. So unbelievably, this is what happens. Sick. Pete leaves. I don't even realize that. My friend says, "Hey, Pete left his phone on the table." I said, "Oh my God, you're kidding me." He had a beautiful red phone. I take the phone and it turns on. And there's Pete with his dad when he was a little kid, a little boy, like 8-year-old boy, him and his dad on the ball field together. I should have grabbed my phone and took a photo of it, but I didn't want to be intrusive or nothing like that. So now I hold his phone and I'm thinking, how do we tell Pete he's left? Maybe the kid will come in. No one comes in. I said, "Oh my God." So you know what? Let me see. He has no lock on his phone. I said, "It's a red phone." I dial the last number that he called. Just so happens that it was someone from Las Vegas, and that person called his son, and they came back in and took the phone. It was really cool. I'm glad he got his phone back. Unbelievably, 3 weeks later, Black Bear Diner. Now you can know where I go for breakfast a lot. One of my breakfast spots. Black Bear Diner. Pete and his grandson sitting there again. I go in, and very rare that I'm always having someone with me for breakfast. I go in, and sure enough, I'm alone. And I said, "Pete, same exact booth?" He goes, "Yeah, who you with?" I said, "Nobody." He goes, "Sit down with us." Sick. So sick, Randy. I'm having breakfast with Pete Rose and just talking back and forth until that day. And I even get a little choked up. I never knew Pete Rose actually wanted to be in the Hall of Fame. He actually told me, God is my witness, that he goes, they'll never put me in while I'm alive. Imagine this. This is what he told me. And I said, "Pete, that's a shame. That really is a shame." Because, I'm not just saying because I'm with you. Everyone I speak to, my friends, they all say, your on-field accomplishments, you should be in the Hall. So we started talking about sports betting in general, back and forth. There's a couple of things I'm not going to share. Nothing bad or illegal or anything, but just some really cool stories about Pete. I didn't know some things about Pete when he was growing up and stuff. So sure enough, the check comes and I go to pay the check, and I had almost fight Pete Rose. He's like, "No, I'm like, girl, I'm not." No, I said, "Pete, hey, Pete, it's my pleasure to pay for you guys for breakfast." So that's my Pete Rose story, Randy. I was really upset when he died yesterday or 2 days ago. I was upset by it, and I grew up with baseball when I was a kid. I didn't grow up with watching NBA. I didn't grow up watching NFL. I grew up with two things: baseball and boxing. Maybe that's because I lived back east. Maybe it was Jersey, New York thing. I don't know, but that's what my family grew up with. When your family's from the Bronx and everyone in the house is rooting for the Yankees, I was rooting for the Mets. We used to go to Shea Stadium. My uncle had tickets. There was, and we knew the right fielder who you may know. I don't know if you're old enough for this name, Randy. Dave Kingman.
Oh yeah, King Kong.
So Dave was a great guy and still around. And Dave knew my uncle, and it was just really cool. We always got to hang out with Dave. And we had box seats right there at Shea. My uncle had a music store, so a record store.
I got trivia about Dave Kingman.
Oh wow, okay.
He's the only guy in the first year they opened up the Metrodome. It was like 81 or 82. He's the only guy that hit it through the roof he hit a sky-high pop-up and went through the Metrodome roof.
Oh, wow. I think someone told me this. Went through the roof.
They only gave him a double. I mean, it's out of the park. Should that be a home run?
How can they even come up with that? A double. Wow.
Yeah, they gave him a ground rule double on it. He's the only guy to ever do it.
Dave Kingman. Yeah, he was on the Cubs, too. I know he was on a couple, a lot of different teams, but he was on the Mets back when I was a kid. So let me tell you, I know I don't mean to dedicate the show to Pete Rose, but yeah. I'll just tell you this. So my friend down in Myrtle Beach says to me, "Listen, if you're going to watch anything on Pete Rose, I want to watch First Take." And I'm not a First Take guy. Listen, I've been with Stephen A. multiple times. He's always been nice to me. Teddy Atlas introduced me to him. I've always been, and him and Teddy get along really good. I've been with Mad Dog Russo multiple times. I love Mad Dog Russo. I used to love Mike and the Mad Dog when I lived back east. So the First Take episode, it's on YouTube. Would you just put Stephen A. Smith, Pete Rose? That's all. Stephen A. Smith did an unbelievable expose on Major League Baseball, on everything about sports betting, He went after everybody. Hypocrites. He said, "You're all hypocrites." He went after Major League Baseball. He literally said, "A pox on all your houses, and you better never make a mistake on your own." You take his glove, his cleats, his uniform, and you put that in the Hall of Fame, but you don't put the man in the Hall of Fame. You want to erase what he did 23 years, knowing you profited off him, the networks benefited off him, Major League Baseball benefited off him. This country, when we talk about the land of second chances and talk about forgiveness, murderers have been let off quicker than Pete Rose. And the fantastic breakdown of things with him and Chris Russo. Chris Russo said they wouldn't even let him go to his own son's baseball for his first Major League Baseball game. You think they put him front and center and give him a nice box or something? They made him buy his own tickets to go in to see his son on the first baseball game. Listen, if you guys have a chance to see it, it's 8 minutes. Just Google it on. Don't Google it. I'm sorry. Go to YouTube and look at that. All the money, and then he went after the sports books. The Stephen A. Major League Baseball and Betty mentioned the name of the sports book. Still went after them. Hypocrisy all over the place. And if you think about, Chris Russo said this. If you think about some of the people in the Hall of Fame, you have steroid guys that were cheating. You have racists who didn't want to play with Jackie Robinson. And you have Pete Rose that only bet on his own team to win. Which, granted, I'm not giving him a pass. He definitely did something wrong. That's clearly the rules. I'm not saying he did something wrong. All I'm saying is it's hypocrisy with all the other people that are in the Hall of Fame and all the other people you can give passes to after 30 years. And here you have a guy, one of the greatest players to ever play the game, Charlie Hustle. They don't make players like him no more. The Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL, none of them are like that anymore. They're just not made like Pete Rose. Would you have to agree with me by saying that? I wrote something down earlier, but it just I don't know what I did with it. But I wrote something down. Jason Whitlock had a comment on one of his podcasts. I'm going to read you Jason's text, his tweet. You can't play baseball the way Pete Rose played baseball anymore. Men no longer play sports with that type of passion. We've turned sports into a money grab. Love that Jason Whitlock said that. Thought it was fantastic. What do you think, Randy?
Well, growing up as a Braves fan because of the cable in 78, 79, I wasn't a big fan of Pete Rose, of course.
I know you're going to say.
He was playing against the Braves, and, he got some big hits against them. I only met Pete Rose one time, and it was in the early 2000s. He used to hang out at the Palms, and he was betting. My buddy was actually running the bets in for him. He was betting $1,000 exactas, which not the greatest bet in the world. And I got to meet him kind of in between one of the races there. So that's my only interaction with him. So, just he kept going. And he kept playing until he passed away. But definitely
Randy,
should be in the Hall. Definitely should be in the Hall of Fame with an asterisk, much like Bonds, and much like Bowman's. All them that deserve and have the numbers, Sosa included, they should be in there, but with an asterisk. And what's wrong with having a player with an asterisk? I mean, you probably could have, you said the racist thing, Ty Cobb, of course, he could probably be
definitely
in there with asterisk,
definitely.
So that's another one.
Fox sent me to Cincinnati last year. Shows. We do about 4 or 5 shows on the weekends. We go to remotely, either the beginning of last season or was it 2 seasons ago. That Fox sent me on the weekend to do the show. So we actually go to Great America Ballpark. I think that's what the ballpark at Cincy's called. We go to the Great America Ballpark, and we're broadcasting live. Me, Jeff Schwartz, Brian Noah, live from the sports book in the stadium.
No way.
Just think about that. We're in the sports book in the stadium. We did the show. I'm just saying, there's a huge statue of Pete right outside the ballpark, sliding in head first. It's a bronze statue of him, and they put a lot of flowers underneath that statue and stuff. Just thinking about that, they actually paid Pete to make the first bet at the sports book in the stadium. They paid him to come all the way, send him first class airfare. we talked about this. One of the things that I really didn't want to say, but yeah, and they paid him to be out there for the first to make the first bet in the stadium. I don't know how much money they paid him, but the day before he died, I'm so glad he got to be with teammates in Tennessee, and he was also with Ric Flair. Rick put out a great tweet, but he also put out he was with oh man, it could have been Joe Morgan. I know it was George Foster, Tony Perez, Dave Concepcion. He's with a lot of his former players. It was really
Bench,
cool to see
probably.
it. Yeah, it was really cool to see that. Him and Johnny Bench didn't get along for a while, back and forth, but Johnny put out a nice video about him. How, they Johnny didn't support him in the beginning, and had some things to say. I'm not really a Johnny Bench fan. A couple of players, even though I love baseball, not really. I rate people on how they treat you. That's why I got to rate Pete. The way he treated me was fantastic. Sit down and have a meal with you. It's situational. I understand, but like Mike Schmidt, very cold. Steve Carlton, very cold. These guys were very cold, so I have no love for them. There's, like I said, there's been a few players that won't. Mark McGuire, please, just another jack off. Really is.
Oh yeah, another
wasn't
steroid.
friendly. Wasn't friendly to people. That's what I go by too. People
no
that
kidding.
want to, kids ask for an autograph. I seen Tiger Wood like push kids out of the way, and just I have no feeling for him. Cheap bastard anyway. Doesn't leave tips. I know that for a fact from my friend that owns a restaurant. You know the same guy. He comped Tiger Woods to a $1,500 meal. Tiger wouldn't even leave a tip. So I go by what people spend on people and what people tip. I don't know. It's just the way I grew up. I like people that take care of people, and anyway, all right. So let's go off the. I'm sorry for the people that are watching too. If we put too much time for Pete Rose, it's just it's a once in a lifetime tribute here.
Yeah, he deserved it.
Did you hear about the Hard Rock down in Florida was evacuated because of a bomb threat? And I took a photo of it. They actually found some stuff in there too. Did you see that? You hear anything about it, Randy?
No, this is the first I've heard of this one.
Here it is. I'm going to read it to you. It's all over headlines. But Florida Hard Rock Casino evacuated twice as bomb squads take out two different hidden devices made with fireworks. Unbelievable. One hidden device forced the Seminole Casino to evacuate. And then, don't you know, the next day, it happened again. And they found another device. Like, you think the first time they would check everything, two concealed devices made with fireworks were found in Seminole Hard Rock in Tampa, Florida, forcing the Seminole police and FBI to investigate the casino to evacuate twice as bomb squad handled the devices. Unbelievable. Randy, I bring this up. By the way, the Hard Rock, they're always very good to me down there. I made some good bets down there. I have a lot of futures there. But I'll just tell you, Randy, I always think about the shooting that happened here in Mandalay Bay. And I hate to be so negative or it sounds cynical, but you see this thing. I got to tell you, there's no metal detectors in casinos. There's no way to control what happens in a casino. It always is in fear, and I pray to God it never happens. I'm always afraid of another, incident happening that happened at Mandalay Bay here because, anything can happen walking into a casino. We're at a point in life where there's a lot of people with a lot of misplaced rage, and they never want to talk about the guy that shot everyone there. He was a big gambler in the casino. He played video poker. And by the way, it just hit me. I'm talking to one of the guys, Randy McKay, that has gambled. You've seen him gambling, right?
Oh yeah, I've had I had a couple of interactions with them. I saw him on a progressive one time, and I was doing a drawing one time at the New York, and he was hovering over that drum because he had tickets in there, looking at people because he didn't want them to put their tickets in. He wanted to win them. It was for a car. He wanted to win that car, and of course, I didn't know the winner of the car. It wasn't him, but that was my two interactions with him.
What a sick bastard.
And also his girlfriend, which she had nothing to do with it. She used to be a slot host up in Reno at the Atlantis Casino. She waited on me many times. And I remember Mary Lou remember real well. And I text my host after the shooting. I go, that's the same woman that used to work at Atlantis Reno, and he said yes. So
I did not know that. I
that
did
was
not know
really
that.
a creepy day for me.
Oh my God. But they don't want to talk about that at the casinos. Let's not talk about that. This guy is a Pageant, I think his name was. This guy could have went off because of the casinos, because of gambling. They don't talk about that. I'm not saying that's the red. That's why, by the way. I'm just saying, from what I'm seeing here, he was playing high limit slots, high limit video poker, and I don't think he was an advantage gambler. So you just don't know, and therefore, what I'm saying is the purpose of me bringing it up is the casinos. Vegas would not want to even talk about that if it wasn't public. They don't want to no bad publicity, and I get it. But let me tell you something, and I hope it never happens. I just said I'm scared of that happening again anywhere. It doesn't have to be Vegas. It could be any casino. These casinos have metal detectors, and what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to intimidate your guests and have metal detectors? It's a fine line you walk here. So it's just not nothing I usually think about walking into a casino, but it's pretty scary. I'm a licensed gun owner, and now I have a carrying permit. I would love to be able to carry my gun in the casino, but we're not allowed to carry in casinos. So I do have a gun. I keep it in my car, and I have multiple guns actually in the house, and I'm a gun owner. I never was a gun owner until I lived in Nevada 21 years ago. So, and I go to ranges. I'm responsible. I go to, my wife and I even go to a range. I bought her a little 22. So, I wish I could bring it in a casino. I should learn more about the rules, but I'm pretty sure there's no casinos that allow customers to bring guns in, even though it would be for a defensive measure, because I don't even know if the security guys have guns in the casino. I don't see it in a lot of casinos. Some of the local casinos, they have sidearm pieces right on their side, but that intimidates guests sometimes, I guess. I don't really see guns. I'm sure every casino's security staff does have guns somewhere. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think they're all pretty much concealed. Of course, I'd have to,
Yeah.
check it. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll even ask Derek next time I get a chance to talk
Yeah.
to
I
him.
like to ask Derek
I'll
myself.
see what he
Yeah.
says about that, because that would be nice to know if they could just,
Yeah.
pin down some lunatic if he ever
Yeah.
shows up at Circa. Of course, Circa is the one that least checks the ID as you walk
Every
in.
ID.
So
Some
you
people don't
feel,
like that. I had my buddy was just here.
yeah,
My buddies, South Philly guys, they don't want to give their mother an ID. But I'm just being funny, but yeah, they want to know everyone that's in the casino. So I don't mind giving my ID to
yeah.
somebody like that, but they're the only ones down there. I don't know. Does the D and the Golden Gate do the same?
On big events, you'll see them at the doors, and you got to
Oh,
walk
wow.
through. But
Wow. Okay.
other than that, that's the only casino I know of really
Yeah.
downtown. I'm not sure about the Strip. Of course, up here in Colorado, you don't. You can pretty much walk. But remember, as a concealed person there, it didn't help Wild Bill Hickok back in the day. Jack
Oh,
McCall came right from his back and shot him right in the head. But
and
you got to
Randy
make sure
says
you got to make sure you don't have your back to the crowd, Bill, like Wild Bill.
Randy's saying that because he knows I'm a fan of even like Deadwood. I love Deadwood, but I'm a fan of the show Deadwood too. But he says that because he knows I eventually want to go to Deadwood and I want to trek up that mountain there to see Wild Bill's grave, Calamity Jane, and I think Jack McCall's even buried in the same cemetery. Is he buried in the same one too? The guy
Yeah,
shot him,
and Seth Bullock as well.
and
Yeah.
Seth Bullock. Wow, that's really cool. All right, let's get to what everyone's waiting for here, Randy. What's going on with the football this week? What do you got? We need some winners after all this sad talk, and my heart still goes out to Pete Rose and his family. Let's get some winners. What did they say in Field of Dreams? Remember the Doc when he was walking off the field? Doc, you can't come back. He won. Win one for me, fellas. Win one for So
And of
let's
course,
win one for Pete.
last week we had a good week, 4-0
Yes.
on my picks, and
Yep.
you're still alive in Survivor, as I know of, correct too, right?
Yeah,
But,
I have a survive. I have Doc Crack. Me and my partner are still alive there, and Randy has a piece. And I'm going to tell you right now, I want to look at the current line here. I'm gonna go with I did not go with San Fran like I said last week. I went with Cincinnati, and you and Steve Fezzik have Sabres with me, and neither one of you said I like neither one of you said anything. Just go with it, Crack. Whatever you want to do. Like you didn't say,
Same with
well,
this
maybe.
week with me. Yeah. Go with
Yeah,
what you
well,
want to do.
I'm going with San Fran this week. So,
All right.
uh, now I think San Fran. A lot of people had him already. This is the week in Survivor where we're going to see some carnage. I'm sure again. So you only have Seattle and San Fran as 6 and 7 point favorites, and everyone else is three. Literally 3, 2, 2.5. There's a couple 3.5. It's going to be a. See the Monday night game's 5.5. Yeah, this is going to be a fun week for Survivor. Let's see what you got, Randy, as far as the NFL goes for our people out there.
Yeah, 4 teams on buys too. So remember that going into this week. And there's 4 teams going into the bye. In fact, last week, 3 out of the 4 covered. The only one that didn't was the Philadelphia Eagles. So important to know who's going into the bye. It seems like they give max effort. So you got
Wow. Okay.
max efforts out of them teams last week that are now off this week. So first game, we're going to go to Soldier Field in Chicago, and we're going to lay the still 3.5 available here with the
Yes.
Chicago Bears against the team that helped you advance in Survivor
Yes.
there, Carolina. And they finally, they've been showing all season that they don't have a very good defense for one. One of the weaker defenses in. They have defensive injuries there. Young quarterback for Chicago, getting a little better. Maybe shouldn't have covered that game. That game was going either way till the end, and the Bears pulled it off. Andy Dalton's played. Being inserted there has helped the Carolina club, but that team's starting to get injured up. He's losing weapons. I could see this Bears defense even shutting out the Carolina in this game. I don't lay real high spreads very often, but laying the 3.5 here seems cheap. So Chicago Bears first choice.
Circa and Westgate both have 3.5 still. So all right, number 2, where are we going?
Now we're going to go to Houston. We're going to go to Texas here. Some sharps I know are on Buffalo. That flipped that number over to +1. Might even go a little higher here, so you might want to wait. Buffalo defense got exposed last week, so I like the Texans here in this matchup. Getting back some running backs. There's 2 running backs they had injured, mixing the big running back, and then the wide receiver Dell. They're probably getting him back against a Buffalo team that's injured up on defense and had a suspension to a potential Hall of Fame player, Von Miller. So they lose depth there on the defensive line, on a defense that's already been banged up. And you've seen what Baltimore did to that defense on Sunday Night Football. Ran right over that team. Houston, not quite that kind of powerful. They'll do more with the short passes and the runs. But, when Buffalo gets in this situation, they have a really good quarterback, Josh Allen, one of the top quarterbacks. He has to press and do everything himself. He's very turnover prone. And the defense for the Texans here does have some ball hawks, and then we see some turnovers too for the Houston Texans. So getting a little value here as a home underdog, +1 for me on Houston.
+1 -08 at our sponsor, and now we should talk about our sponsor. +1 -08 at heritagesports.eu. 108 juices on their NFL, both sides, -108, and instead of 110. That alone is a bonus. But it's also college football too, folks. So 108. I just wanted to see. Yeah, okay. So they still have their reduced juice cash back. Literally, they have odds on so many different things, and they have always a good program going. There's an October scratch off newsletter. There's a lot of things happening over there. heritagesports.eu. They've been around almost 30 years. So I have known of them that whole time too. I've been betting sports professionally since around 94, so 30 years. So 90, actually before that, 93, I actually really started to be serious about this. So anyway, 108 Juice, heritagesports.eu. Make sure you go visit them. And all right, Randy, give us pick number 3.
And you got me beat by about 5 years. I came in 98 or so, 99. So
Okay,
you got
cool.
me beat by a little bit with gambling
No problem.
experience, but
No problem.
a little bit. So, but pick three, another straight bet, which
All right.
three NFL sides, which I didn't have any totals that really jumped out to me this week. But here's one of these teams that's going into the bye as a home underdog, a team that's pretty banged up, missing their two top receivers, but they adjust without them and play competitive. This is the LA Rams against the Green Bay Packers. LA Rams getting at least three, might even get some 3.5 again. Another one you might want to wait till post. It could go back. I think it opened 4 and it got knocked down real
It did.
quick.
It did.
So this team's been very competitive, and the defense for Green Bay isn't that good. They got exposed early against Minnesota, 28-0 lead for the Vikings before that game got a little competitive at the end. But the Sean McVay and Stafford combination, even without their two top wide receivers, still causes headaches for offense or for defenses on the other side. Going to give Green Bay a lot of trouble here, make this dog live. The Green Bay offense, a little rusty. Love came back from an injury. So a little rusty, got going a little late, caused a couple turnovers for the Vikings. But I can still see them being a little rusty against this Rams team. You know, they have a young defense, but this game will be very close, down to the wire, much like the Rams-Bears game was last week. That could have went either way. Lucky to
Oh,
go
yeah.
my way. It didn't go Crackman's way. It actually could have milled, but that didn't
They didn't
happen.
kick the field goal at the end. It's amazing. They had like 6 minutes. They could kick the field goal. 5.5 minutes. I was shocked. I was shocked.
Yeah, yeah, it could have middled for us, but it didn't. But coming back here or playing the LA Rams +3 here looks like a live dog situation, and a team going into the bye going to give max effort, and a team that really needs a bye to get healthy for the stretch run.
You can get +3 -05 everywhere in town here. Stations, uh, circa. Yeah, you can get +3 -05. You can actually get +3.5 -20 at the win. So that's one thing good about living in Vegas. There are a lot of opportunities, a lot of DraftKings +3 -02. So yeah, you may get 3.5 there. You're right, Randy. Well, there's 3 picks from Randy. I really appreciate them. People are loving it, by the way. I'm getting some
Yeah,
really good feedback.
also a big teaser week. If people want to look into teasers here, there's about 5 decent candidates. The only one that cost us last week was the Buffalo one. Otherwise, teaser's very good, taking the dogs up to that +8.5 range. You can look at either Tampa Bay, taking them up to 7.5. I might like Atlanta at post. I'll let everybody know on Twitter if I end up taking that one. I haven't taken that one. The Jets on that London games are kind of funky. Automatic Minnesota Viking play to every better out there, but these London games are a little funky, and taking the Jets up here might be a pretty good situation. Cincinnati, taking them up to 8.5 might be a pretty good play against a Baltimore team that looked dominant last week. Division rival spot. Cincinnati can still score even though their defense now is struggling the last few weeks. The ugly Las Vegas Raiders.
They are ugly.
You could tease them up against Denver. Probably a live dog too. They've dominated Denver these last few games of the series. Almost made my straight play list, but I haven't touched that one yet. And the Dallas Cowboys are a little injured up, but on Sunday Night Football against an offensively challenged Pittsburgh Steelers team, taking that up to 8.5 looks like a pretty good teaser as well.
Okay, some good teaser plays. You're right about that Minnesota game. Boy, I'll tell you, that looks like a funny game. It looks so easy. Minnesota, 2.5. Oh, that basically you just have to win the game. Strange things happen, especially you have an undefeated team. You never know. I played Cleveland this week. I'm sure that the line's going to come back too. The public's got to be all over Washington after they see what this kid did. This quarterback really special on Washington.
That almost made my ugly dog special. You know,
ugly
I get that
dog special
dog last week with Jacksonville, and that they led the whole way. They just gave up the game late. They could have won outright real easily there, and but Cleveland almost made my ugly dog special. But that came down. I think that'll go back up too and give us some value.
The public will be betting that. You know, there's a couple of those teams that just look so ugly. You just say, how can they not win? This is the way that a sharp looks at it, where the public looks at it the other way and says, "Oh my God, Washington, they looked great on the, I think it was Monday Night Football. They looked unbelievable beating Cincinnati. And now last week they killed Arizona. Oh my God, Cleveland's terrible. They lost to the Giants. Oh, this is going to be a wipeout, giving them up Washington." And what happens? Cleveland wins outright. I mean, over the years, situations like that.
Remember, too, Washington's played three of the worst defenses in the league with the Giants, Cincinnati, and Arizona. So that's made that young quarterback look like
very good.
Look like Steve, or look like your guy Joe Montana there the first 3 weeks. So
man,
they're coming in. They're coming in here against a better defense here in the Cleveland Browns.
He's another guy that was really nice to me. That's why Randy's saying that. I caught a pass from Joe Montana. If any of you guys didn't see that, I went out for a pass and did a little out. And I when he threw me the ball, I said, "Joe, no fooling around. The first guy you threw the ball to, you made him do a pattern. I'm going to go around, take 5 steps, turn around, hit me." And Joe's like, "Yes, sir." I'm telling the great Joe Montana how to throw me a ball.
I remember you let that ball get to your body, but at least you held on.
Oh my God! Thank God! I caught it. Yeah, but Randy, you said something at the beginning with these teams on the buys for the following, like next week, this week, Detroit, Tennessee, Philadelphia, and the Chargers are all on have buys. So you're saying the following week that helps them. But what I'm saying is, isn't that baked in the line already, Randy? Wouldn't you think the bookmaker automatically takes that into consideration? Or you're saying no, they don't take it into consideration enough?
Yeah, there's some spots where they don't take that into consideration enough. So, and coming off the bye, there's certain coaches that are very good off the bye. In fact, Kansas City gets a bye here after the Monday night game, and I think Andy Reid over the years is like 18-2 or something crazy off a bye. So, you got to look into that. These young coaches probably go against them after a bye because the team will get fat and happy. Or another thing too, like if Minnesota wins this week, they're on a bye after London. There'll probably be a fade spot there for the Vikings, fat and happy after a bye.
5-0. Yeah.
There's another situation that comes into play in the NFL, which you don't see in that many other sports. College kids have buys, but not as much the effect as some of these NFL. NFL, they're getting, of course, college, they get paid money now too, but
sure.
NFL guys get paid money. They get a little fat and happy and out of shape.
Yep. Well, listen, guys, we really appreciate you guys watching us, following, commenting, and like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. And we'll be back next week with Randy McKay again. Until next week, Wise Kracks signing off. Thanks, Randy.